Egypt reiterates its firm stance on preserving Syria's unity and territorial integrity. Egypt fully supports the Palestinian National Committee for Gaza's administration and all its members. And Vladimir Putin receives an invitation to join the proposed Peace Council. It's 4 p.m. Cairo local time. This is Q News. I'm Hani Saif and you're watching the first news bulletin of the day. The Syrian Foreign Ministry has stated that the unity and cohesion of all Syrian communities form the foundation for lasting stability. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry emphasized that the new republic is built on citizenship and views societal diversity as a source of strength. Commenting on the ceasefire and the integration of the Syrian Democratic Forces into state institutions, the ministry affirmed that the agreement reflects a commitment to dialogue, consensus solutions, and protection of rights and dignity. Welcoming the accord, Syria sees it as a pivotal step towards institutional unification, stability, national recovery, and reconstruction, calling on the international community to support this path. Egypt has welcomed the ceasefire agreement in Syria, viewing it as a step towards a comprehensive political process inclusive of all Syrian components. In a statement by the Foreign Ministry, Cairo emphasizes the need to preserve Syria's unity, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and support its national institutions. Egypt stresses providing sustainable security and stability for all Syrians, safeguarding citizens' rights, and strengthening national cohesion. It underscores the importance of continuing efforts to combat all forms of terrorism, including addressing the issue of foreign fighters. Egypt reaffirms its ongoing support for regional and international initiatives aimed at achieving a comprehensive and sustainable political settlement of the Syrian crisis.
And then, of course, we have the host tonight, and I just want to thank you very much. It was a reason we chose Egypt, because you were very helpful, and very, very helpful. Everybody wanted to have this, but we really thought it was appropriate, and you are a great leader. And he's a fantastic man and a fantastic general, by the way. But he's a great president, and I want to thank Egypt and all of your representatives for treating us all so well. Thank you very much.
Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has received the head of the Palestinian National Committee for the Administration of the Gaza Strip, Ali Shaath, congratulating him on his appointment and wishing him success. Abdulati affirmed Egypt's full support for the committee as it manages Gaza's daily affairs during a sensitive transitional period, ensuring basic services and paving the way for the Palestinian Authority's full return, in line with the UN Security Council Resolution 2803. He welcomed the committee's composition, stressed continued humanitarian aid, international stability, forced deployment, early recovery and reconstruction, and underscored rejecting any Gaza division while preserving Palestinian territorial unity. Shaath praised Egypt's steadfast political and humanitarian support. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has held phone calls with his counterparts in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Pakistan as part of ongoing coordination on shared regional developments. The talks focused on Gaza, stressing the need to implement Phase 2 of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan, support the Palestinian National Committee, deploy an international stability force to monitor the ceasefire, and advance early recovery and reconstruction. They also underscored the importance of continued humanitarian access. They agreed on de-escalation across the region and prioritizing political and diplomatic solutions to safeguard regional security, stability, and the people's interests. The Gaza Government Media Office has welcomed the Palestinian National Committee for managing the Gaza Strip, affirming full readiness to transfer powers and complete the handover process. It described the committee as a key step in addressing administrative and service challenges and emphasized efforts to ensure a smooth, organized institutional transition. The office stressed on the importance of protecting the rights of citizens and public sector employees throughout the process. The Gaza Government Media Office added that staff across all sectors are prepared to fully cooperate with the National Committee, ensuring continuity of services and effective management during this critical phase of administrative restructuring in Gaza. The Kremlin has announced that Russian President Vladimir Putin has received an invitation to join the proposed Peace Council. Kremlin officials expressed hope that communication with the United States would clarify the Council's details. The Trump administration has asked countries seeking a permanent seat on the Council to contribute at least $1 billion. According to a draft charter, U.S. President Donald Trump will serve as the Council's first chair and personally decide on membership invitations. Decisions will be made by majority vote, with each member nation having one vote, subject to the President's final approval. For more analysis, we now move to Salma Al-Fi'i in our newsroom. Salma.
Thank you, Hani. And for further analysis, we are joined from Cairo by the chairman of the board of directors of the International Commission to Support the Palestinian Rights, Dr. Salah Abdelati. Welcome, sir, to Qnews. Sir, let me ask you, what is the significance of Egypt's full support for the Palestinian National Committee in Gaza, please?
Egypt's effort is really important, and especially important if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this council. And so their support actually helps implementing the ceasefire and enhancing, moving on to phase 2, and then also sending humanitarian aid and ensure legit monitoring. And so also at the same time, their efforts reiterate the importance of reconstruction in this strip and guaranteeing Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip.
Sir, can you explain to us, please, how does Ali Shaf's appointment impact the governance and daily affairs in the Gaza Strip, please?
Yeah, having a committee with technocratic officials that are supported by a large number of countries, of course, contributes to getting the necessary funding so that we can help the Palestinians, rebuilding homes and getting the necessary humanitarian aid for the people in the Gaza Strip, and then also getting tents and temporary homes for them, especially during winter. And then this also will help getting back the medical services, educational and communicational one as well. And so this of course will enhance and boost the civilians' resilience. And Ali has had such great expertise in a lot of reconstruction projects that the Gaza Strip has been through.
Dr. Abdelati, can you tell us how is Egypt coordinating with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Pakistan on the Gaza-related developments?
Yeah, this coordination actually helps enhance and support the technocratic committee and provide the necessary funding, and then also this, of course, provides political support as well. And so this multilateral coordination and cooperation helps to support the committee on so many levels, financially especially, and then this also helps make sure that the US will apply pressure to stop the Israeli occupation forces from stalling moving on to phase 2.
And what are the steps that are being taken, sir, to prevent any attempts to divide Gaza, please?
This is what the Egyptian foreign minister has reiterated in his meeting today with Ali Chaz, and so this shows that the mediators and international actors are absolutely refusing dividing the Gaza Strip into yellow, red, and green areas, and having Israel still occupying part of the Gaza Strip. This doesn't help when it comes to stability and peace, and will actually lead to the technocratic committee failing, and will actually cause more violations to the ceasefire, and will end with us going back to war. And so this Egyptian reiteration was really important, and it wasn't just about dividing the Gaza Strip, but they also refused dividing the Gaza Strip from the West Bank.
And how can regional political and diplomatic solutions contribute to the long-term stability in Gaza and the wider Middle East? If you can tell us, please.
And this is what the Palestinians are hoping for after a 2-year war, and so these solutions actually gives them an opportunity and gives Palestine an opportunity to implement the ceasefire, for Israel to withdraw and to prevent any further escalation, and just stop Israel from trying to take more land in the Middle East, or to achieve their goal of a so-called Greater Israel, which actually threatens stability and peace in the Middle East.
Dr. Abdelati, can you explain to us how significant is Russia's potential membership for the Council's credibility and influence, please?
Getting more countries to join the Peace Council means, balancing the efforts in the Peace Council, which actually has a lot of US officials, and so having Arab countries like Egypt, Turkey, Pakistan, and other European countries, and even Russia, all of these countries joining this council will guarantee better results, so that we can stop any violations, and to make sure that ceasefire is implemented.
And from Cairo, that was Dr. Salah Abdelati, the chairman of the board of directors of the International Commission to Support the Palestinian Rights. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. And now we go back to Hani Saif in our studio. Hani.
Thank you, Salma. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has emphasised support for the Middle East ceasefire, stressed advancing to phase 2, and discussed consultations with allies regarding the board of peace.
On the question of the board of peace, look, we're supportive of the measures that are being taken across the Middle East, particularly the ceasefire. I do think we need to press on to phase 2. We've indicated our willingness to play our part, and we will. And on the board of peace, we're talking to allies about the terms of the board of peace.
Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan have stressed on implementing phase 2 of Trump's Gaza plan, which is essential. During their phone call, he affirmed Egypt's support for the Palestinian National Committee managing Gaza and the deployment of an international stability force. Abdelati emphasized the importance of preparing for Gaza's early recovery and reconstruction. On Sudan, Abdelati stressed the need to reach a humanitarian truce and a comprehensive ceasefire, while underscoring the importance of preserving Sudan's sovereignty, unity, territorial integrity, and supporting international institutions. That comes as Egypt continues to advocate for stability, humanitarian relief, and coordinated regional efforts in both Gaza and Sudan. Egypt has dispatched its 119th aid convoy under the Zaid al-Izza Provision of Honor from Egypt to Gaza initiative from Rafah to Gaza via Karm Abu Salam border crossing. Amid heavy rainfall, the convoy carries urgent humanitarian aid. The convoy includes over 233,800 food baskets, 18,080 blankets, more than 21,350 winter clothing items, 835 tents, 1,175 tons of flour, 550 tons of relief and personal care supplies, and 1,240 tons of fuel. Launched in July 2025, the Egyptian initiative continues to provide Gaza with essential food, medical and fuel supplies. The Red Crescent, coordinating aid as a national mechanism, operates at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing and across logistics centers, mobilizing 65,000 volunteers and delivering over 500,000 tons of assistance to date. Palestinian Vice President Hussein al-Sheikh has emphasized the urgent need to prevent a new war in Gaza. He stressed advancing political efforts to stabilize the territory and ensuring the Palestinian Authority fully resumes its responsibilities. He highlighted the importance of maintaining political and legal continuity between the West Bank and Gaza. He also called for the rapid delivery of urgent humanitarian aid to address the population's pressing needs. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has called for dismantling the U.S. monitoring center overseeing the Gaza ceasefire. He argued that Gaza should be stormed once deadlines expire and Hamas military neutralized. He also stressed opening the Palestinian side of the Rafah border crossing to allow Gaza residents to leave. Regarding the Trump administration's Gaza plan, he criticized it as detrimental to Israel and urged its cancellation. Hamas has said Palestinian detainees in Israeli prisons are subject to inhumane conditions, systematic abuse and torture, calling the situation a full-fledged humanitarian crime amid troubling international silence. In a statement, the movement said Israeli media footage exposes brutal practices that defy international law, stressing these are not isolated violations, but entrenched policies of repression. Hamas noted more than 9,300 detainees are held, including thousands under administrative detention without charge or trial. It cited physical and psychological abuse, deliberate medical neglect, denial of visits, and starvation, urging urgent international action, prison inspections, accountability, and solidarity to secure detainees' rights and freedom. And on to Switzerland, where Davos has opened its doors for the 56th World Economic Forum, welcoming over 3,000 delegates from more than 130 countries, including 64 heads of state and government, many from emerging economies. Under the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue, WEF organizers emphasize the importance of collaborative discussion amid global uncertainty to shape business and political strategies. However, the forum's agenda faces potential disruption from U.S. President Donald Trump's Greenland takeover threats, ongoing Ukraine peace talks, and looming trade tariffs. The event aims to foster dialogue and cooperation as leaders seek solutions to pressing international challenges. Denmark has decided to boycott the Davos World Economic Forum in protest over what it calls a sovereignty breach concerning Greenland. The Danish Foreign Ministry said the forum invited officials and companies from Greenland as an independent entity, which it considers a violation of international norms and an interference in Denmark's sovereign affairs. In response, the Davos organizers expressed regret over Denmark's decision, emphasizing that the invitation was not intended to challenge Danish sovereignty. They reaffirmed full respect for Denmark's unity and called for direct dialogue to resolve the issue and move past the dispute amicably. US President Donald Trump has stated that Denmark has failed for decades to secure Greenland against Russian influence, declaring that now it is time for the US to take decisive action. In a post on Truth Social, Trump has argued that NATO's long-standing warnings were ignored by Copenhagen, leaving the strategic Arctic territory vulnerable and necessitating a shift in control. In response, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte confirmed he discussed Arctic security with Trump and looks forward to further talks at the upcoming Davos summit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said he does not believe US President Donald Trump is seriously considering military action against Greenland. Speaking at an emergency press conference, Starmer emphasized that the situation should be resolved through calm discussion. He noted that Trump's recent threats of tariffs on 8 countries following his repeated interest in acquiring Greenland could trigger a downward spiral for Britain, harming trade and alliances. Starmer indicated that the UK would not retaliate against US tariffs, contrasting with the European Union's discussion on possible countermeasures, including imposing tariffs on over 93 billion euros of American imports.
Including cars, steel, aerospace and life sciences, protecting British jobs and manufacturing.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has confirmed that any discussions regarding Greenland must be based on respect for Denmark's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Merz added that US threats to impose additional tariffs weaken transatlantic relations, stressing that American consumers will bear the costs of the tariffs, while they will also harm Germany's economy and Europe's economy.
Besorgnisse, dass dieser Teil Dänemarks besser geschützt werden muss.
And in Spain, 2 high-speed trains have collided and derailed near Adamuz, Cordoba province, southern Spain, killing at least 39 people and injuring more than 150, some critically. The Ario 6189 Malaga-Madrid train derailed onto an adjacent track, causing a Madrid-Huelva train to derail as well. The emergency services, including ambulances, rushed to the scene, while rail services between Madrid and Andalusia were suspended. Drone and eyewitness footage showed tilted carriages and passengers shocked but mostly safe. The cause remains unknown. The Spanish Transport Minister, Oscar Puente, noting the derailment occurred on a straight, recently renewed stretch of track. Later, over 200 trains between Madrid and southern Andalusia, including Cordoba, Sevilla and Granada, were cancelled following the deadly high-speed train collision. The crash near Adamuz in Cordoba province involved 2 trains carrying around 400 passengers. Passengers at Madrid's Atocha station sought information at Ario and Renfe points. Most travelers were Spaniards returning from the weekend. Spanish Transport Minister Oscar Puente said that the cause of the accident remains unknown as authorities continue investigating the collision and its circumstances. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has ordered a thorough and transparent investigation into the high-speed train collision in southern Spain. He also announced a 3-day national mourning period to honor the victims of the tragic accident. Authorities are expected to examine the causes of the collision, assess safety protocols, and ensure accountability. The Spanish government emphasized the importance of providing support to the families affected and maintaining clear communication with the public as investigations proceed. This measure reflects Spain's commitment to transparency, safety, and respect for those impacted by the incident. Head of Ukraine's Central Election Commission, Ole Didenko, has warned that holding elections under current conditions presents massive logistical challenges. With infrastructure destroyed and millions displaced, Didenko has noted that updating voter registries and ensuring security would take significant time. The push for a vote is part of a 20-point peace framework advocated by U.S. President Donald Trump. While President Zelensky has expressed a willingness to proceed if allies guarantee security, most Ukrainians remain opposed to a wartime ballot, and current laws still forbid elections, while martial law is in effect.
Треба надалі тиснути на агресора та реальну причину цієї війни. Причина в Москві. Будемо на цьому тижні працювати заради такого нового тиску.
And Russian forces have launched a massive barrage of 145 drones overnight, specifically targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure during a period of severe frost. The Ukrainian Air Force has confirmed that 126 drones were shot down or suppressed. However, 13 hits were recorded across 12 different locations. These strikes have triggered emergency power outages in the Sumy, Odessa, Kharkiv, and the Chernihiv regions, leaving tens of thousands of households without electricity as temperatures plummet to -20 degrees Celsius. In the Odessa region, Governor Serhiy Lysak reported that both energy and gas infrastructure sustained substantial damage, injuring at least one person and hitting a high-rise residential building. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has seen renewed escalation, with Russia intensifying attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure and civilian areas amid the freezing winter conditions, leading to a widespread power outage and civilian hardship. Ukraine continues diplomatic engagements, including discussions with the U.S. officials on peace and post-war recovery at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where the Ukrainian crisis remains a central focus. Global efforts to de-escalate include ongoing negotiations between Russian and U.S. representatives and international calls for security guarantees and ceasefire mechanisms. Despite these diplomatic pushes, fighting persists, underscoring the complex challenge of achieving lasting peace in the region. These are all the news we have for now, but before we wrap up, here's a recap of the top stories making headlines this hour. Egypt reiterates its firm stance on preserving Syria's unity and territorial integrity. Egypt fully supports the Palestinian National Committee for Gaza's administration and all its members. And Vladimir Putin receives an invitation to join the proposed peace council. That brings us to the end of our first news bulletin for the day. But for more stories and live updates, please follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY. From all of us here, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates coming up here on Q News.